Welcome to the Master the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master the NEC podcast, where I, Paul Abernathy, talk about the National Electrical Code, electrical trade in general, even contracting tips, tricks, as well as how to deal with disgruntled customers. And that's the topic of today's podcast. So one of the podcast requests that came in through paulabernathy.com. Remember, you can submit your requests for upcoming shows, whether it's something on the NEC, whether it's something on business, whether it's something on hiring and firing, all those type of things. I'm an open book. If you want to ask me about taxes, how I do my taxes as a Chapter S corporation, maybe you're a sole proprietor. I've been there. I've owned electrical contracting businesses for many years. I'm a licensed master electrician in multiple states, and I've been there. I've had successes. I've had failures. I've been podcasting since early 2000s. So way before this thing called podcasts, or way before social media was even a thing, we were uploading stuff to AOL. So I've probably been there or done that. Now, we also have over 1,000 episodes of podcasts on all different type of topics, ranging all the way back and into the early 2000s. They're available. You can listen to a lot of our stuff that is still relevant today by getting our free mobile app. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Just go to fasttracksystem.com, or you can go to NECCHAT.com. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that you can go to NECChat.com and also download our mobile app there as well? Yes, you can. And that's a free service from Wix as well. And I talk about that only because I have done podcasts about grassroots marketing, and I explain how easy it is to get a free Wix account. Every person, whether you're doing side hustles or you own the company or whatever, you need to have at least a one-page website, and Wix makes it so easy. I don't get paid for Wix, but they do sponsor and take care of all of the costs on dealing with our paulabernathy.com, but also the NEC chat as well, which is a way to get our mobile app simply, quickly, if you don't want to go to our website and get it. Okay, enough of that. So today, what we're talking about on today's episode is we're going to talk about dealing with disgruntled customers. And this is going to be really good for all of you owners out there that have the people that work for you, the electricians. You should make them listen to this episode. Play it at lunch. Play it at your morning meeting, because this is going to be important for them to listen to. Okay, and if that doesn't get it, think about bringing us out to your job site, or bring us out to your company, wherever you are in the country. We're more than happy to come out there. It's a nominal fee to get us there, but we will more than happy to come out there and do a lesson, do a training, maybe do an hour of some code for you. But then we can also do an hour on leadership, and then I can also get in how to train your employees to deal with customers, how to take a first impression that may be not so stellar and fix that while they're still there, and recover that bad experience for the customer. But today, we're going to talk about what the hell do we do when we've got a disgruntled, unhappy customer. Some people are just unhappy, okay? I've got followers over on YouTube and all my other channels that are just unhappy. They live in this world of negativity. And so you're going to get that with a customer from time to time, and you're going to go out to do work. And you got to understand how to overcome it, how to deal with it, how to process it, and leave it there. Leave it at the job site. Leave it at the service call. Don't bring it home with you, okay? So I'm going to set the scene here, what we'll be talking about in today's episode. We're going We're going to understand that we're going to acknowledge that no matter how skilled you are, how professional you are, you could be the greatest electrician in the world, okay? You could be so good at installing that there is no troubleshooting task that you cannot overcome. You're just God's gift to the electrical industry. You're still going to have potential conflicts, disagreements with clients. It's inevitable. Whether you're on a project and you're dealing with the GC, whether you're dealing with a customer on a service call, hell, it might be even dealing with other trades that are on the job site. And you need to understand how to overcome all of that. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit today. We're going to emphasize the importance in this episode of handling these situations in a professional manner, to not just protect your reputation, but to also turn that frown upside down, and it may just grow your business. Now, we've all heard the old saying, word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. Because if they like what you do, they tell somebody they like it, and then they hire you, and they like it, and it breeds, right? But I can promise you, when you have somebody that's pissed off, ticked off, unhappy, they sometimes will go out of their way to spread it to other people. And that can be a cancer upon your business, especially if you're trying to target a local market, because people tend to listen. The social medias, for example, and all this type of thing, nobody does the background checks anymore. Nobody looks to see history on somebody. They just believe what somebody tells them. Oh, I did not like Jay's Electrical. Really? What'd you like about him? I just didn't like it. He was arrogant, whatever, the price was overpriced. I just didn't like him. Well, Jay's Electrical may have done a great job, but sometimes you have these people, and there's something that they did during that interaction that caused a problem. Now, somebody might not like a price, and that's one thing, but there are ways that you can explain why your price is what it is. And if you understand how to deliver these things, we call these soft skills, by the way. Everybody in business that wants to be successful needs to understand soft skills. It's so critically important to understand how to interact with somebody. It doesn't mean they're always right. It doesn't mean you're accepting they're always right, but you understand how to navigate around that and say, well, we may agree to disagree, but your feelings, your position is valid, and I'm going to work with that, and we're going to get through this, but I want to leave you with a good experience. So we're going to talk about that type of thing because, again, word of mouth can be great. And I talk about this in my marketing podcast that I just recently did. I think it's episode 17 in Master the NEC podcast, where I talk about guerrilla marketing. And one of the key things is that, you can have a very bad first impression, but you can overcome it before you leave that project and things like that. And so there's a way to recover it and grow your business. All right. So again, that's the key, is to make sure we leave on firm ground, that we don't leave with them being able to spread. Now, again, some people just wallow in evil, and it is what it is. You can't fix evil. You can just try to mitigate it. But at the end of the day, we do have some tools we can follow. So remember, why are we doing this? Because a satisfied customer are your best marketers. But even the dissatisfied customers can be loyal advocates. Maybe it's only the price, but they say you do good work. Okay, well, I'm not cheap, but I do good work. So they may come across as a negative, but they do tell you that they do good work. So again, there's different ways we can approach it. All right, so let's talk about it. Understanding the root of the issue. Okay, that's the first thing. Root of the issue, understanding the root. Okay, this is really important for people to listen to this. And that is the whole function, is listening. Now, like I said, I spend a lot of time talking. I do a lot of podcasts. I spend a lot of time interacting with people and teaching and all. But when it comes to a situation where you're on a project and you have somebody that's unhappy, they got something they want to say, and they're trying to get it off their chest. So one of the important things that you can do is, before you immediately, and I try to tell this to everybody, whether electricians, people that work and have people that they report to, whatever, if somebody has this urge to talk, and whether it's good or bad, then you need to learn a skill called listening. And listening is allowing that customer to voice their concerns without interrupting them. And this is the hardest, one of the hardest things that I struggle with, is because sometimes you can be so passionate about something that when you hear them saying it, and I do this, and I have to catch myself and practice what I preach. I have to say, okay, stop. Because the tendency is to finish their sentences. The tendency is to maybe engage with them the moment they say something you disagree with. So I'm going to give you a tip of how to do this, how you should do this. Okay. And this forces you to listen. All right. So I always used to tell everybody, have a notepad with you, and we sell these journals on our website. Okay. Inspector journals, but they don't really have to be inspector journals. They're called Code Nerd journals. I encourage you to have something like that with every lead person, everybody that interacts with a customer, so that they can pull it out when a customer has something they're concerned about and listen to them and let them fully say it until they finished and they got nothing else to say. Let them say it. So allow the customer to voice their concern fully and kind of reject the urge to interrupt them. Let them say it. The next thing you want to do is take notes to show them that what they've got to say is extremely important. So anything they got to say that concerns them, say, okay, hold on, let me get my notepad out because I want to make sure that I address your concerns. Okay, first of all, you're going to diffuse them. They're going to be like, what? I thought you were just going to listen. No, sir. I teach people, I say, no, you get your notebook out and you go, I want to write these down because obviously they concern you, and I want to make sure that I can address these. So I write this down, right? Okay. So take notes to show that you're taking whatever they got to say very seriously. Also, it allows you to make sure that you highlight the important parts that you want to retort or that you want to say something back about. And then it gives you time to think about how you're going to constructively respond to these things without being real flippant. In other words, so eager to respond back. And again, it's a temptation. We all are very defensive about our work, our company. We all get defensive about something, and I get it. But when I'm training employees, I'm training people that interact with customers, I want to let them talk until they've exhausted it. Okay, they got nothing else to say. Now, I'm not going to say something smart like, "Are you done?" No. I'm going to look at them, and basically it's a communication 101 thing. I'm going to look at them, make eye contact with them. Anything they say that I feel I'm going to have to respond to, instead of immediately saying something, I look at my notebook and I look down and I'll start making a note. Respond to issue of whatever. What did that do? First of all, that took me away from that impulse to respond. And you'll get better at it where you may not have to do the notes, but the note process allows you to separate yourself from it and make a note and say, first issue is price. Second issue is whatever. Okay, just paraphrase it enough so that after you're done, you can address these issues. Now, in that process, you want to make sure that you ask clarifying questions, folks. Okay, so it's so important that when they're talking to you, they might be all over the spectrum, but you want to ask and find out exactly what they're unhappy about so that you can get rid of all the fluff and you can get down to what the discussion is about. Okay. So, for example, listen actively. Allow the customer to voice their concerns without fully interrupting them. Take notes where necessary to take the matter seriously. Ask clarifying questions and understand exactly what the customer is actually unhappy with, whether it's your pricing, is it the quality, is it the time that you spent on the project, is it your appearance, what is it that put them in this feeling that they had to tell you, okay? And the other part that I'm going to tell you is this is a thick skin, thin skin thing, and everybody has it. They can say they don't. Salespeople get better at it but it is basically avoid jumping to conclusions or becoming very defensive. And hey, I'm guilty. I am guilty of it. I get it. I'm like human. I mean, everybody else is. You hear somebody's upset about something in the pricing and you feel like you're worth every dime that you charge, but they start in on pricing and you so quickly want to jump into it and be combative to support your pricing structure, for example. Rather than listening to it at the end and then calmly explain to the customer why your pricing is what it is and say, look, the reason is I have overhead. I have insurance that I have to pay. I have employees that I have to pay. As you know, taxes, I have to match their taxes. I have licenses I have to pay. I have my employees' licenses I have to pay. And I have overheads. I have burdens that I have to worry about. I have gas. I have insurance on the vehicles. I have tool costs. And then you kind of spin it back to and say, and that's how I deal with the pricing thing. I go, look, I've tried to do my best to keep my prices where I can make a living, you're getting a fair price, and I'm able to pay for my employees or what I'm doing and my marketing costs and things like that. So remain calm and kind of make it as if you're showing them why, okay? Even if the customer is upset or confrontational, you could always explain things from your perspective of why you did it. Now, you can't make them understand, but you can say things like, I understand why you're frustrated, or thank you for bringing this to my attention, or I agree that this may appear to be something that is concerning, but let me explain. That type of thing. And then it's your turn. Now, they're not going to practice the same restraint, I guarantee you. Okay? They're going to probably jump right back on you with their defensive or whatever, because now they have to support why they told you your pricing was so high or whatnot, or why they think you're overpriced on something. But they don't know your business, and you have to understand that that's just their frustration. Okay? So, one of the things that you want to avoid doing is taking any criticism personally, okay? Focus on, how do I leave this? If I'm with a customer for 2 hours or an hour, your constant focus from the beginning is, how do I take this interaction and make sure that when it's over, that it's a positive interaction for everybody involved, even if it starts out being very critical or problematic or somewhere down the line. I'm gonna give you examples. So maybe you're going to a project, you're an electrician, they call you out, and you're troubleshooting something, a circuit's not working, and you're just troubleshooting it. You're an electrician. You're not a magician. You're an electrician. So everybody's skills at troubleshooting is different. So you're working on it. You're trying to understand what's going on, and then they think that you're taking too much time. And so they come to you and say, I think you're just padding the bill. I think you could have found the issue. And you go, and that's when you take your time, you let them speak, and then you go, I understand your concern, but I'm telling you that I am a master electrician. I'm trying to find the problem, and some problems are easy and some problems are a little more complicated, and I'm trying to work on this. And I understand your frustration with it, and trust me, I would like to get this done as quickly as I can, okay? And that type of thing. And by explaining it, and not trying to hide it, not trying to bullshit it, not trying to bluff it, that type of thing, it can diffuse that situation. But make sure that you're not criticizing them. Make sure you're not talking down to them like you don't know what I do. You're not an electrician. Don't belittle them. Just basically explain it the same way you would explain it to your mom. As the way I always tell people is like, Mom, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to find the issue. I'm doing everything I can with my meters, and I'm trying to resolve it. If it was easy, or if it was sticking out to me, I would be done and gone. Trust me. But I'm trying to find it, and I'm going to find it. I'm going to keep working on it, and we'll work together at the end on this resolution on this. Maybe it took 3 hours, and maybe at the end they're like 3 hours, and you're like, okay, I'm willing to knock it down to 2.5 or 2 hours and 45 minutes, whatever. I'm going to meet you. I'm going to meet you somewhere. But I tried to find it. I worked it. Okay. Every situation's a little different, but that's the approach that you want to take. And some people in contracting are like, no, my way. I don't care what you say. You called me here. I'm going to do it. Piss on you. And I'm telling you that is not today. In the modern world that we're in today, that is not how it's going to win you more business. And maybe you don't care about more business. Maybe you're just like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's my job. I'm doing it. I'm doing it my way. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, well, that's the case. Somebody's going to be there next time, and you're not going to get that repeat business. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're in business, you don't have to kiss the customer's ass, but you just have to be honest with them and understand and have empathy for the fact that they don't understand what you do. And so I want to explain to them why this is taking longer. But I'm not going to talk down to them, okay? I'm not going to criticize them. I'm not going to get personal with them. I'm not going to take their criticism personal. Okay? They don't know me. They don't know how complicated this troubleshooting task is. And so that's what I try to explain to the electricians, that go out and work with customers. Like, they're not going to like you when it takes you 2 hours and they think it should have taken an hour because they're paying the bill. You get it? They're still not going to like it. But there's a way that you can diffuse it, okay? Now, if you acknowledge mistakes, if you made a mistake, if you've made an error, admit it and assure them that it'll be corrected. Assure them that, if there's something in pricing or bid, your bill or bid or what, something was wrong, don't try to shift it. You know what? Acknowledge it, own up to it and say, I apologize. I'm going to take care of this right away. I'm going to, we're going to make sure that this is not going to happen in the future. As long as you acknowledge that it is an issue. Because again, they're not always right. But in that interaction, I want to walk away with them not pissed off, me not pissed off, and then I have to deal with that the rest of the day. It can be done, folks. I know you get some people that are disgruntled and really bad, but again, there's tones that can be done, and there's a way to maybe they won't hire you back, but there's a high probability that they won't at least badmouth you to the next person, and that's a win in itself, okay? So again, there's a way to acknowledge. So if you make a mistake, acknowledge it. Assure them that it'll be corrected, especially if it is an error that needs to be corrected, okay? The other thing is, I think it is very important, and again, it's to bite my pride, because I'm not here to, what I used to tell people is like, I'm not here to be their friend. I didn't go to this job for this customer to be my buddy, to crack a beer with and go out to the pub, okay? I came here to do a job. So if that means I have to do what I have to do to make sure that relationship stays that way, and when I leave, they're thinking it's very professional, I'm not their friend. I tell people like that all the time. I work with a lot of people on committees. I'm not there to be their friend. I'm not there to be out to eat. I don't go out. That's one thing I tell you about Uncle Wire with them. And they know that when I went to conferences and I went to meetings, Vince Delacroix will tell you, all the people on the code panels will tell you, I am not there to be anybody's friend. I am not the guy you want to take out to the eat afterwards and go have a beer or whatever, because I'm just not. Now, there's some people that I have a friendship with, personal. Vince Delacroix, for example, is a guy. He's just a sweetheart of a guy. You can't not like Vince. But the other people on the committee, they asked me to go out to meetings and things like that, and I'm not interested. I'm just there to get my job done. I'm there to work on the code. I'm there because my company pays me to be there and work on it. And once that's done, I'm leaving, right? I'm not there to be their friend. So I teach employers to teach that to their staff. They're like, look, be bubbly, smiley, empathetic, understanding, problem solving. Don't be confrontational. Admit when you're wrong. All these type of things. It's not ass kissing. That's in ensuring that the business is going to be retained within your company, and that they're going to call you if they need more work done. Bite your pride. Bite your pride and leave. Smile. You can cuss somebody else. You can cuss somebody out through smile. You can tear them out through goodness. Just smile at them and say, thank you, appreciate that. Or I'll work on that. Or I'm sorry you feel that way. Can I explain? I understand why you're frustrated, but let me explain what goes into it. And this is why we're at where I'm at. They don't have to like it, but you've explained it professionally and you move on. Okay. But the moment that you tit for tat back with the customer and they get loud and arguing, defensive, it's over. You're already in the recovery mode. Okay. So avoid that. Okay. Also, again, like I say, show understanding. Say, I can see how this situation has impacted you and I want to make it right. Well, maybe I cut off 15 minutes. Maybe I don't round up my hours. Maybe I do something that, I might lose a little bit, but I can see that this is really stressing them out. And I want to make it right. I had one incident where you had a customer that I think they just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And I think I was putting in Alexa devices or whatever. We were smart home. We were doing the cost-effective smart home thing. And they just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I think it was. And I had already done the job and they were already bitching about price. And I didn't have to go into the pricing why, but I get it. I looked at him, I said, I get it. The prices today is tough. I mean, our prices are based on the overheads, the burdens, the taxes, everything that we have to pay in order to keep these trucks rolling or keep vehicles rolling. I said, I get it. It sucks. I would hate it, but it is what it is. What else are they going to say to that? But then what I would do is says, you know what? Let me make it right. Let me go on and give you a free, since I'm here, let me give you a free panel inspection. I'll just look around and make sure that everything's working good. It's free. Let me give you an energy audit. Let me look at your panel. Let me look and see what loads. Let me just give you that. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm already here. Let me make this right for you. Let me give you a little bit extra of my time. In the end, I'm not. I'm really looking for ways to find other things to leave on the report that they could possibly get fixed that could get me back there, but I'm offering this for free. So you learn ways to do this, right? You learn ways to diffuse things, okay? Now, I'll also tell you right now, and I tell this to all of the people that interact with customers, I said, look, avoid shifting blame. Take responsibility for your part of the issue. Even if external factors were involved that caused the problem that's outside of your control. In other words, your office tells you to do something and you don't want to sit there and go, I'm sorry, the office. Man, those people up there in the office, they don't get me. I'm the electrician, but the office. Don't. I do this all the time. When I have to do something for Encore, I do not shift blame and blame the people in the office or blame something, even if it was their fault or somebody's fault, or I take responsibility for it. I don't let it, I let it die right there. You know what I'm saying? I don't give the thought in my company that I represent. And again, every time I walk on a job site, I represent my company. This is why, for example, when I'm speaking around the country and if I'm there for Encore or Prismium, I never go to the bar afterwards, or I never go to an event afterwards with the company logo on. I change, or I cover it up. You know what? I do not want to ever give a bad impression to my company. And I'm constantly focused on this. And it's just how I am centrically focused on that. I respect them. If I work for a company, they pay my paycheck, they give me money, they pay my insurance. I'm going to be good stewards of them. I'm never going to pass the blame onto somebody else. Even if it wasn't my fault, I'm going to own it, and I'm going to see what I can do within my power to make it right. Okay? Now, always want to think about this. When somebody's upset, you're taking the notes, you're interacting with them, you should be thinking of a proposal of a solution. What solution? What can I offer them that will make them, all of a sudden, they're upset? How can I turn that around instantly? For an example, if there's an issue that needs to be addressed and I can take care of it at no additional cost, then I'm going to offer to do that. I'm going to say, you know what? Let me take care of this for you. I'm not going to charge you for this. That type of thing. Let me take care of it. Maybe I had one occasion where you do something and maybe you see a cracked plate or cracked receptacle plate or something like that, and you happen to have one. You know your truck is stocked or service. Like, you know what? I get how you feel and the cost, but let me replace that cover for free. Let me just give that to you. It may be something as little as that. Or maybe you have the ability to offer a round down your hours rather than round up and say, you know what, I understand it. And I explain to you why it is what it is, but I get it. I see how in your shoes, how it impacts you. So you know what? How about I give you a partial refund? As long as it's appropriate and you have the ability to do that, then again, offer that. If it really is a real situation where you want to diffuse it, then maybe giving a partial something, rounding your hours back rather than rounding up, that type of thing may diffuse it. Okay. So there's different ways. Every company has their own ways that they would approach that. But again, offer a remedy on how to fix the problem that they're presenting to you. Think of a way that you can address it. And again, if you're a contractor or electrician out there that says, I ain't going to do any of that shit, I'm here to do a job, whether you like it or not, I'm doing a job. That's okay. That's you. But your business is never going to grow to the level that it could be. Okay. You're doing good now, but it'll never grow. I'm just telling you. So also always remember, if possible, I like to do what's called involving the customer in your solution. Ask them what you want. You'd be surprised. Say, well, what can we do to make this right? Most people, believe it or not, even if they think you're overpriced, they won't say, give me a discount. They won't say, cut some money off of it. But it puts them on the spot. And you're saying, I get it. I understand. What solution here? What do you think we should do to make this right? You'd be surprised that most of the time the customer will go, nothing. There's really nothing. I mean, I'm not upset. I get your price now because you explained it. No, but you put it on them now to give you a solution. I'll use a great example of this. So my wife, for example, if we want to go out to eat somewhere, I always will go, so where do you want to go eat? And she'll go, I don't care, wherever you want to go. I already know she's going to do this. She's not going to pick a place. I could spin the wheel of death when it comes to places to eat, but I can always ask my wife, I can go, all right, well, where do you want to eat? I don't care, wherever you want to eat. So already in my mind, I know where I want to eat when I ask that question. So, again, if it's McDonald's, I'll say, where do you want to eat? I don't care, wherever you want to eat. Well, good. That's a win-win for me because I'll say, McDonald's is fine. Some people don't like that because they're like, oh, shit, now I got to make a decision. No, I use it opposite. I just started doing this months ago and I'm like, you know what? I already know where I want to eat. So if I ask somebody, where do you want to eat? And they go, I don't care, whatever you want to eat. Perfect opportunity for me to say, cool, I'm going to eat at the Mineral Restaurant right down the street. And they say, no, I don't want to eat there. And I'm like, all right, well, where do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. Well, I'd like to eat at the Mineral Restaurant. So that's where we'll go, unless you got somewhere you want to eat and, that type of thing. So I gave them a vested interest in picking and they chose not to. So you'd be surprised when you get your customer involved in that situation that they will end up wanting you to do nothing. And they'll still feel like they won. And it diffuses the situation. And that's when I'll come back and like, well, what do you want to make this right? And they go, well, I don't think there's anything. You explained it. I don't know. I'm like, well, tell you what, here's what I'm going to do. Can I give you a free inspection, a free looking at your panel to make sure there's no hazards involved? You just might not have encountered them yet. It's free. It won't cost you anything. Or maybe you say, I want to do a free energy audit. It's free. I'm already here. It's not going to cost you anything. I'm not going to sell you anything, but I'm going to look around and tell you what luminaires you may be able to change and get more energy efficient, that type of thing. And they make things look newer and stuff like that. You don't know, no obligation. You get creative, but feel like you're giving them something. You can diffuse a negative situation so quickly if you understand the mentality of how this works. Now, I need you to be transparent always with the customer. If a problem can't be resolved immediately, explain the steps that you will need to take. So maybe it's even bigger picture that has something that has to do through the company. Maybe you have somebody you answer to, and you have to make bigger decisions. Don't leave them wondering if you're going to call back. Don't leave them wondering. I make them realize that I am connected with them. So this is why I was really big on what we had called Sparks card with the tap NFC, because I had a way of putting it on the phone and saying, okay, look, I'm staying connected with you. Basically, it was a way to put your contact information on their phone. But I had a hard time conveying that to people, so Sparks card just didn't take off the way I wanted it. But I still use it. I still use the NFC cards. I still have the products. They're available on our websites, but people didn't understand what we were doing. It was a way for you to stay connected with that customer so that they did not feel like you're leaving them. I'll give you a great example. We're having a fence put in. So we had a fence company come out. It's hard to get fence people to come out. They came out. I liked what they said. I paid them up front the down deposit, and I haven't heard a word from them since. And anxiety will kick into anybody when you're dropping $3,000 or $4,000 down on something as a down payment for something, and you're not connected with them. For me, I would have said, if once they pay me the money, I would say, okay, well, if this takes a little longer to get resolved or something has to be resolved, I'm like, here you go. Let me put this on your phone. And this allows us to be able to communicate directly through this little app. It's quick and simple, web-based. And I want to stay connected with you because I do want resolution for you and to get this for you and see what I can do for you. Customers love that. They eat that stuff up. And so you could start out with somebody that's really set off a bad impression, but before you leave that project, they would be loving all of the interaction that you give and staying in contact. And it's not going to be big for you. It's like, well, Paul, I don't want to have to be so connected with every damn body that I got to go back and no, it's not that difficult to do. It's not. It's a mindset. Okay. So be very transparent with them. Now, one of the things that I want to tell you with some customers, now don't get me wrong, is we want to make sure that we prevent what we call escalation of an issue. Not every employee is created the same. Not every master electrician, journeyman electrician, HVAC, plumbing master, whatever, they're not all created equal. So we have to make sure we understand what escalation is and how we make sure that it does not get to a point of escalation. What is that? Well, if a customer that you're working with becomes abusive in some way, and they really start sharp toning you or really getting up in your face, and it doesn't matter whether you're the Jolly John from backwoods of Kentucky, and you're like, I'm defending my honor, and your chest pokes out and you want to get in their face. If you work for me, you better not. You better not. So if a customer gets unruly, maybe we don't want them as a customer. Now, that does not mean, okay, that you have to take abuse. I told my employees in the day was, look, if somebody gets very aggressive and abusive and you haven't even done the work yet, they're up in your face. Now, if you've already done the work, you got to be careful because we're going to still get our money. But if they come at you up front, then maybe we don't want their business. So you can say very politely, you know what, I think before we get down this road, maybe it's better that we don't do business together. I'll let them know back at the office. I'll let them know, don't worry. Maybe we came off the wrong foot. Don't be afraid to walk away. But I teach the employees to be able to understand that because that is a very rare situation, okay? Because they called you out there to get something done. Chances are they're not going to be up in your face right away. Something had to happen. Now, if they become abusive, calmly state that you're willing to resolve this issue. But you know what? You don't have to tolerate the disrespect. And you can say that in a very polite way. It says, look, I don't deserve to be disrespected here. I'm trying to work with you. I'm here to solve an issue. Are we going to be able to get, and here's another thing I tell people. De-escalation is the ability to tell the other person, are we going to be able to get beyond this and work together? You got something you need done and I'm here to fix it. Can we work together? That type of thing. And if they say, no, walk away. Walk away. Okay. Now, the other thing is written communication. When emotions are running high, then maybe you don't sit there and you banter and you say, you know what, I'll get you something. We'll email you or we'll give you something in a formal communication to keep records. And that way we reduce the misunderstanding. Okay. If somebody's arguing with you, for example, if I'm out there and I'm telling them what our policies are on this and that, and then they don't understand it. And I go, you know what, rather than escalate it and they're really starting to get like, I don't understand. This is stupid. That's a dumb rule. You know what? Maybe I'm conveying it poorly. And tell you what, let me send it to you in an email or in a formal communication from our office. And I'll explain it. We'll put it in details so that it's written out. You can keep it for your records. And if there's any misunderstanding there, we can take it item by item. And that's easier than to us just sit here and do this because I'm really here to solve your problem for you. And they might say, okay, well, that's fine. Just can I get that in writing? Absolutely. Don't be afraid to put things in communication. Okay. Just make sure that whatever you put in your communications, remember, anything that you put in an email or anything that you put in a communication that is kept as a record, think of it as it's the same thing that you'd be pulling out in front of you if you're standing in front of a judge in a courtroom. Okay, don't ever think that anything that you say in email or in your communications is private. If I had to give anybody any advice, the first thing I would say is do not put in a text message, an email, or a formal communication that you would not want blazoned on the 5 o'clock news. Okay? Do not think that these people are your friends. They are not your friends. The 80-year-old grandmother that I put in a luminaire for who loves you to death that thinks you're just like her grandkid, that's great. I love it. I've gotten those. I love that. I love going back doing work for them. And then I go out of my way to do everything I can for them. Okay? But at the end of the day, I realize what they are. They're a customer. I'm making money. I mean, I'm in business to make money. That type of thing. So remember, anything that you put, and when something happens, and let's say I love that granny and I do that work for her, but I say something in an email, something that's outside of company protocol or whatever I do, don't think that they don't have a grandkid who's going to think that they know better than their grandmom, and the next thing you know is your ass gets sued for something. Okay? So never think that the sweetest person in the world is always your friend. Please, if I have to give anybody some real advice, nobody, okay, listen to me. I'm going to tell you again. Nobody you do work for out there is your friend. Nobody. Please, I'm going to say it again. They are not your friend. Do the work as if you were doing it for your mom, the same as you do it for your friend down the street as you would for a random customer. Okay? If you're going to do the work and you're going to get paid, treat it professional. So at the end of the day, if you don't think that somebody that's related to somebody, or when shit hits the fan, I can go do some work for this 80-year-old grandmother, but then all of a sudden something happens in her house. It catches fire. It has nothing to do with what I did. You're going to have some ass attorney come in and say, well, did you have anybody do any work on the house lately? Well, yes, I had this sweet Paul Abernathy from Abernathy Electrical came out and put this plug in. Oh, he did. He's sweet. Yeah. Okay. Well, a lawyer is going to twist that and say the last person that worked on the home was Paul with Abernathy Electrical, and there's a chance that it was caused by him. And now you're already on the defensive trying to prove why. Trust me. You're easy because they're going to throw you under the bus to save their own interest. Everybody does. Don't fool yourself, folks. This is business. They will throw you under the bus in a heartbeat. Anybody will, to save their own ass. I hate to say that. I hate to sound skeptical, but that's the way you treat everything, as if that could happen. Okay? And also, if it ends up being a really bad situation and you have really bad disagreements between you and the customer, then there are third-party arbiters that you can do, trade associations, a neutral mediator. If the disagreement cannot be resolved directly, then you can go to mediation. And a lot of contracts that people have will have that clause on there rather than go to court that you, by accepting this agreement, that you accept mediation. And that pretty much trying to waive the go to court, and that way you can have a third party come in. Again, I'm not a lawyer, not giving advice, not a tax accountant. I don't give tax advice, but I'm saying there are ways to have mediation to be used if there's a total disgruntled. But again, I'm telling you, most of the time you won't get to that point. Okay. All right. Getting to the end here, folks, but I just want to cover a couple more things here. Learn and improve. Evaluate what went wrong. After you have a situation like that, don't just forget about it. If you have a disgruntled contact or disgruntled customer or something like this happens, and you're writing those notes that I tell you about, make sure that you actually review that situation with your office or with the other people in your team or whatever to see how could we have changed this? How could we have post-experience, how could we have corrected this? What did we say? How did we do something differently? Okay. How did we set that bad impression? What did we do? What triggered this? Well, if you say, well, it's the price that triggered it. They didn't like our price. Well, that's a pretty broad. Okay. Well, then you look at it and go, well, hey guys, let's come up with a response for our price. Let's come up with a response that you all can use to explain why our price is what our price is. And that's a canned response that we're going to use. So we have it already available. And so we can go, well, and we have the overhead, and then throw some empathy in there. Say, I get it. I'd hate it too if somebody came to my house and charged, but we have overhead. We have expenses we have to pay, the insurances we have to pay, licensing we have to pay, marketing we have to pay. It's not like we're a mom and pop. We're just a one-person show. I mean, I have expenses, and maybe you are a one-man show, but you still have expenses. But your prices are probably going to be less anyway, right? Because you don't have the same level of burdens. My brother, for example, is just a one-man show. He does multi-million-dollar houses. That's all he chooses to do. He's lucky if he does a couple a year. That's all he wants to do now. He's in his 60s. Great contractor, right? He's built his customer base, that type of thing. But he will do anything for anybody. But he knows his limitations, right? So, everybody's different. But you need to evaluate what you did wrong. And so that you can build a case for it to be used. It's kind of like people talk about the pricing, flat rate pricing, where you have set structures of pricing, which is great. Maybe one day I'll do a podcast on flat rate pricing, but because I used flat rate pricing when I was in McKinney, Texas, before I stopped doing contracting. But one of the things is if you can establish why your prices are why they are, then you can diffuse a lot of people that have problems with your pricing. Update your process. Always adjust your contract. Always look at the contract to make sure your contracts are clear so people aren't confused by the verbiage. Don't be afraid to take feedback. Even if a customer's upset. Here's a big thing. You're not asking for a review. You're asking for feedback. And this is something that we used to do on the Sparks card, was that allow a customer to go in, negative or positive. It wasn't what you're going to use on your media. It wasn't what you're going to use on your website. Allow the customer to vent, even if they are totally pissed off. Give them a platform. Give them a way to vent. Now, they may think that what they're venting is going to get posted somewhere and they're going to be trashing your name. I don't think it's going to get to that, but allow them to vent and give them that avenue to let them. So collect that feedback, whether it's a form, whether it's on the website, whatever it is. Tell them, look, I understand your concern and we do want to learn from this situation and we do want to make it better, but we do value your feedback. So I understand that you're upset. And I've asked you what you think we can do to help resolve that for you here. I'm willing to try to resolve this and make this a good experience for both of us. Okay. Swallow your pride, but also, they're pissed. Ask them to give feedback, because you'd be surprised about the feedback you get back. And again, don't take it personal. It's just feedback. Okay. All right. So those are the type of things to do. And there's different ways to collect that data. I'm more than happy to answer those if you want to email me or send a request to paulabernathy.com, little tips on how to do forms and how to set up those things. I'm here to help you folks. I'm here to teach you what I've learned in almost 40 years of contracting so that you don't make the same mistakes. This is a different world. Everybody is more woke. Everybody's more offended easily. And so you have to adapt. And you might say, I don't have to change a damn thing I do. Okay? I'll give you an example. So I remember a couple years ago, the guy, Dustin from Electrician U contacted me. He was just getting started with Electrician U. He was just getting started, and he called me and wanted to work with me, and I gave him some advice and different things. And his videos, he used to cuss like a sailor. I mean, really bad. And I told him, I said, you know what? As you get more popular, because there's a market for the videos that are just watching people install stuff. There's a market for it. I can't watch it, but there's a market. I said to him, you're going to change. He said, I'm never going to change. It's in my contract that these people realize that I can say what I want and do what I want. I said, don't worry. You will change when the money starts rolling in and people start saying that I can't use your content because it's either too vulgar or whatnot, or the F-bombs every 2 words. you're going to change. And he said, no, I'm never going to change. I'm never going to change. And then he changed. This happens to everybody. Okay. I've been doing this long enough that I can tell you it happens to everybody. I have helped many people get started in this industry when it comes to podcasting or videos. I tell people, I joke about being the godfather of this type of stuff. I was doing this stuff online before anybody was doing it. Even before Mike was doing it, I was doing stuff online. And so at the end of the day, I like to keep people from making the same mistakes that I've made, right? So again, these are just tips to help you. Now, proactive tips to help you avoid a dispute. Here's some proactive tips. You ready? We're just going to run down a couple of tips. I don't have many. I just have a few. And then we'll into the conclusion and we'll end this podcast. But proactive tips to avoid disputes. Number one, clear communication from the very start. Set realistic expectations with timelines. Make the cost is very clear and the outcome. Let them know when you're going to start, what the cost is going to be, and when you're expected to finish. Now, understand things can happen and you kind of get a timeline that gets wonky, but go in with clear expectations. I hate it when people give bids and pricing and all this, and they do not make it clear. What's my timeline? What's the cost? What are the outcomes? When I'm going to finish, okay? Make sure that you always provide a clear scope of what you're doing. If I'm doing a service call, I make it clear up front. I teach people, electricians who interact with customers, because not every electrician can interact well with customers, and every business should have employees that interact well with customers. So I train them for this in my mentorship. And I tell them, I'm like, look, when you're going into this, you want to make sure that you're very clear from the beginning. Hi, I'm Paul Abernathy from Electrical Service Specialist. I'm here you called about having this fixed. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to troubleshoot this or replace this or do this, that. Very clear. These are our rates. You know, people say, oh, don't talk about money. Well, it's the elephant in the room, so get over it. Talk about it, okay? And say, look, I'm here to fix this and do this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me while I'm here. No questions off bounds. I would love to, any concerns you have, I'm here. But I'm going to get to it because I want to be a good steward of your money. I want to be a good steward of your time. I want to make sure I try to get in and get out and get what you need done quickly. Is that okay? Does that sound good to you? Does that sound? And that's another tactic that I use when I'm dealing with customers is I ask them questions for responses, right? Is I'll say something like, is that good for you? Does that work for you? Or does that sound reasonable to you? Because I want them to say yes. I want them to get engaged, that type of thing. Okay. So I'll tell people, for example, when I go to do service calls, people would follow me around. And I noticed they're following me around. So I would address the elephant in the room. I'd say, even though I know they're following me, I'd say, well, come on with me. Let's go look. If you got any questions on what I'm doing, I'm more than happy. Some people don't want to interact with the customer. I got nothing to hide. I'm like, come on. Yeah, I'll show you. I'm going into the panel. You maybe you've never seen your panel before. Step back, stay back a little bit. Okay. But if you got any questions, more than happy to ask me about them. You want to know what circuit breaker is? You want to know why we do this? I'm more than happy to engage with them. You'd be surprised how it wins over a customer. I'm just saying. All right. So set a realistic expectation, timeline, costs, and outcomes. And what do we got? Somebody in Instagram says you used our YouTube videos to help pass their master's exam. Well, congratulations. I love living vicariously through other people's success. A lot of people think Paul Abernathy is all about Paul Abernathy. That means you really don't know who I am. I got my haters out there, but they don't know me. They don't know what we've given to the industry. They don't know what Mike Holt gives to the industry. They don't know what Ryan Jackson gives to the industry. They just might not like our videos or might not like our podcasts, and they judge people, okay? The James Stallcups in the world, they hate me, okay? All those people, they hate me, and they don't even know me. So I've only ever met the old man. But his son hates me. Yeah, that, is what it is. I don't care. But again, hate is a strong word. I have to generate hate by meeting somebody, or if they actively go after you, try to hurt you in some way, then I can develop a hate. But other than that, I typically, there's not many people that I hate in the world. I don't know how I got to that, but anyway, I digress. Make sure you're clear about your task as a contractor. Make sure you're clear about your task and your contracts. If you're going to a project, even if it's a service call, make it clear what you're there for, what your timeline is, what your expectations is, what the scope of the work is you're here for, so that they know what they're paying for. Also, provide regular updates to keep your clients informed and involved. This is why I was a big believer in our app, our little NFC cards, because it puts something on your customer's phone, and that way it was allowing me to contact with them and keep them engaged to let them know what's going on. But this also could be while you're on the job. Don't be afraid to let them know what's going on. That's proactive to avoid disputes because they don't know what the hell you're doing. Like if I'm going to the panel, I might say to them like, okay, I'm going to go to your panel. By the way, I'm going to the panel. They don't care, but you might say I'm going to the panel because I need to turn the power off. And by the way, I'll look at it real quick to make sure there's nothing funky going on in here. Just while I'm looking at it, glance it for you. Don't worry about that. I'll take care of that for you, as you never know. But I'm going there to cut it off so I can work on the circuit because I don't want to work on it energized, that type of thing. You might think that they don't care about that, but it helps diffuse their disputes because they're kind of knowing what you're doing. They know what they're paying for. Okay, how you interact that in your company, it's up to you. I'm just giving you tips. Okay, these are proactive tips. Next is document everything. Maintain a written record of all agreements, changes, and communication. This is one thing I tell people all the time. My brother doesn't do this, but I tell this is I'm a change order guy. If anything changes in the agreement, anything changes the scope of what I'm doing or what I've been hired to do, anything like that, I make sure that I document it, that it's written. Okay, at some point, because everybody, I believe, needs to know if the scope of what you're there for changes for some reason. And so I'm a big believer in making everybody aware and keeping communication, keeping records, anything that changes in the scope of what I'm doing. I want everybody to know that you can avoid disputes. It's about what they don't know is what they get pissed off about. Okay, so again, kind of wrapping this thing up for everybody in this episode is number one, listen actively. It's so hard to want to jump up and finish somebody's sentence and whatnot, but you need to learn to listen. Proactively make notes so that you can address these issues calmly, logically, stay professional, propose a solution, ask them questions and ask them to help with the solution. And also make sure you document it and learn from the conflict so it doesn't happen again. Or you can train your group of individuals that you work with on how to engage these. I think one of the other things is think about the bigger picture for your company because everybody knows somebody. It sounds like there's a song about that. Everybody knows somebody sometime. And so at the end of the day, minimize these disputes, turn a turd into a silver nugget by understanding how the communication can turn south pretty quickly, and you stay and work on your professional skills, interacting with the customer, understanding how to overcome the weaknesses, building your reputation because you were somebody that explains it to them. I will tell you, as an head of electrical inspections, I was in Northern Virginia. Some of you may remember, or you listen to this, I was the head of the jurisdiction over electrical in the city of Alexandria, Virginia, and also Richmond, Virginia. Now, when I came out to the job site, there was something wrong. Either you disagreed with the inspector, or there was an argument, or something wasn't going on. Very rarely did I go out and do inspections after the first year or two, unless I was going out to follow behind my inspectors to just kind of make sure that they're doing things the way they're supposed to do things and that type of thing. But what the customers liked about me is when I did come out there, they were already pissed off because they got rejected. And so I already knew why they were ticked. And you know what? Even as an inspector, I tell inspectors out there, you work for the city. You're a public servant. These people out there that pull permits are your customers. You treat them the same way. You don't need arrogance as an inspector. You don't need to shove things in their face. You don't need to make things up. You're doing an inspection. They are your customer. You're getting paid because of that. And you're like, well, I don't get paid because of that. I get paid from the city. The city's making money off of these inspections. You're getting paid. You've got to be good stewards of these people And so what I used to tell them is when I went out there, I was already prepared for them to be upset. So I would go out there and I would diffuse it. I didn't put blame on my inspector. I didn't put blame on the process. I didn't do anything. I would sit up there and I'd say, hey, how's it going? They would already start out pissed off. I've been doing this for 30 years and I've never had an inspector fail me for this. And I wouldn't say a word. I'd pull out my little notebook, my journal, and I would start taking notes. And I go, and every now and then I'd look at them. And there's a little tip that you do. And those on Instagram that are watching this, and I don't have very many followers on Instagram. I'm recording this while I'm streaming on Instagram, by the way, if you didn't know. And I would look at the customer and always make eye contact. And as they would say something that they were very passionate about, that they don't understand, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'd look at them, and I would just put my hand on my chin like this, and I would look at them, and I'd shake my head at them like I'm agreeing. I'm like, I get you. I get it. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I'm feeling you. I'm letting you vent. I already knew what I was going to support my inspector, because unless they were totally wrong, but I'm letting them vent to me, and I'm making a note. Okay. All right, 30 years experience, and then they're done. And then at the end of it, when they felt like they were done, they got nothing else to say because we had this long, awkward silence. Then I would look at them and I'd say, okay, let me see if let me get some clarification here on it, because I need to be clear. Now, you're upset because this or this or this or this or this. And they go, yeah. And I'd go, okay. Now, maybe they would say, well, I'm upset because the inspector failed me and he didn't give me a code reference. Well, the inspectors knew my policy on that. So I would say, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I would be as frustrated as you would be. So let's kind of get you that code reference. Let's see what the reason is. And I'd ask the inspector, and I'd say, well, what are we looking at? And maybe the inspector didn't know. I mean, I must be fair. But he knew it was somewhere around there, but he didn't know. And it's okay. I'm not going to jump down their throat. I would take that disgruntled customer and my inspector. I'd be the liaison. I'd go and look at it and go, okay, so is this the issue you're talking about? Yeah. I'd say, okay. Well, that's an issue of 330.10 uses permitted, MC cable, blah, blah, or uses not permitted. I'd say, okay. I'd say to the guy, okay, so it is possible that an inspector like this never failed you for this. Because maybe they just didn't know. And I can understand that. Again, there's a lot of codes to learn in the code. I mean, we're talking thousands of codes to learn. And I get it. It's frustrating as hell because you need to know what you need to know to fix, right? It's only fair, right? And they go, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, I'm going to make sure you get your code reference. I didn't overrule my inspector. I helped my inspector out. And if it was legitimate, it was it. Now, have I had a situation where I got out there? And again, people are saying, how do we get to this when it comes to dealing with customers? Because the customer is the person that we were doing the inspection for. They're the customer. And I would say to them, I'm like, okay, if the guy failed them, I'm using this as an example. If the guy failed them and he didn't give a code reference and I was out there, I got called out there because a lot of times they won't argue it. They'll just say whatever. And, but if I got caught out there and I found out that wasn't actually a code violation and my inspector wrote it down, I never, ever, 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 ever disrespect my inspector in front of the customer. I never, ever do that with an employee in front of a customer. I don't do it in front of his helper. I don't do master elector. I take them to the side. And I respect this situation, and I use every situation as a learning situation. That's why employees used to love working for me, is I'm not going to disrespect them in the middle of anything. I am going to make sure that I gave them a solution to the problem, okay? A solution to the problem. So, again, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so that's how I would address the issue, and basically, I would tell the customer, if it wasn't I'm not going to uphold a violation that wasn't actually a violation. So I would take my inspector to the side and I would say, this isn't a violation. I get it. And it's understanding. Maybe we'll have a lesson back in the office and we'll go over this. And because I'm sure others would want to know this of our inspector. So maybe I make it a learning thing. I did not jump down their throat. Okay. And I encouraged them to be specific about something. You can't fail somebody unless you have a reference. It just is what it is. So then I'd go back to the customer and I would tell them, I'm like, okay, if this was the only violation, then I would override it. And I would say, okay, I talked to him, but I never said it in a way that it made the inspector look bad. Like they were just wrong. Because it could go wrong quickly with the customer, especially if they're a contractor that does a lot of work and they're like, well, that inspector's always making up bogus shit. So what I would say to the customer, I'd say, you know what? I'm going to override this for this specific issue. Now, there may be other things in there that you still have to correct. But this one, I'm going to override this one because I understand it. I feel you. And this is a give or take scenario. And I can use this one and spin it to create a good relationship with the customer. In this case, the contractor. I can say, you know what, I'll remove this one. So this one's not an issue. And if that was the only thing, you're good to go. The inspector will issue a passing ticket and you're good to go. We can all go with that. If there's other things wrong in here, then I use that opportunity to say, well, you still got some issues on here. And again, is there any of these that you're unfamiliar with or you don't agree with? I am more than happy to listen to you. And how do you think we should resolve this? Because we can't just get rid of these things because we have a minimum safety standard that we have to follow. And again, as an inspector, we have liabilities. Now, people think we're immune to everything, but we're not. Misfeasance, malfeasance, and non-feasance. So how do we make this right? Because again, my guys are just doing their job. Dude, it 100% of the time, 100% of the time diffuse the situation. And the guy was like, oh, it's no problem, Mr. Abernathy. I'll fix those other things. I appreciate that. And then I left and everybody's happy. Everything can be resolved. It doesn't have to go to a tit for tat and a pissing contest. It doesn't. So think of the bigger picture, and it's going to strengthen your reputation if you go with that approach. Again, we're in business to make money. We don't want to lose a customer. It's too costly for us to get that customer. Hell, I don't want to lose a customer. So we have to think about those things. Now, always remember to do a call to action. Okay? The call to action for you is to make sure you meet with your people, meet with your employees, if you're an electrical contractor, or if you're a one-man or one-woman show. Come up with possible solutions. That's your call to action. Come up with possible solution to engage possible issues. Think of yourself. Think of something that you've been unhappy with. So think of solution. If somebody says, I don't agree with your pricing, come up with a solution that a canned response that you can say, that you can practice that says, well, I feel like you're taking too long. Those type of things, come up with solutions and constantly think of solutions that you can use when a conflict may arise. Okay. If you're a few minutes late to a project and you told a customer that you were going to be there at 8:00 and you're there at 8:10, that is already a bad impression. Okay. So you need to be there before, if the appointment's at 8, you need to be there, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before 8. Are you ready? Okay. Looking professional. But if you are late, I tell people automatically the elephant in the room is something that I tell the electricians to get out of the way up front. Remember I said, be clear on your scope, being clear on what you're there to do, be clear on the time frames and everything. Also be clear that you're late. I always go in and say, first thing I'll use that as an icebreaker. I'll say, hi, Paul with Abernathy Electrical Services. Look, first I got to apologize. I was supposed to be here at 8. You don't even have to go in why. Just say, I was supposed to be here at 8. Situation came up and I was running a little late. I want to tell you that I apologize for that. And again, I had all intended purposes to be here right at 8:00. And so I'm ready to go now. Is there anything that you want? Are you okay with the fact that I'm a little bit late? Are we good? Do we want me to continue on? And I understand if you don't want me. That's just an icebreaker. And they'll go, no, I'm fine. We're good. We're fine. That type of thing. Yeah. If you get one guy that's really, his time's his thing and he goes, oh, I'm a busy guy, 10 minutes late. I mean, I got things I got to do. You're wasting my time. That's when you got to learn to have empathy and go, I get it. I hate it. I hate when people are late. I did everything in my power to get here on time and it just ran late. It just seems like I just couldn't get here at that 8:00. And again, but I got here as quick as I can. And again, but I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And I promise you, if we do work here in the future, I will make every effort to be here on time, if not earlier. Again, it's okay to say you're sorry. Because you know what? At the end of the day, you were late. You were late. Suck it up, buttercup. But I use that as an icebreaker because the first thing in their mind is not that they were going to pay you, but the first thing in their mind is, wasn't this guy supposed to be here at 8 o'clock? And now it's 8:10. I'm getting that elephant out of the room right away. Out of the way. Address it. Kill it with kindness right away. Okay? All right. That's it, folks. That's just my tips on how to disgruntle. We do a lot of one-on-ones when I come out to companies and they want me to do disgruntled training or they want me to do the soft skills and things like that. We do some one-on-one interactions, and I have some little scripts that we follow with the customer, with your employees. It kind of gets funny and it's fun, and then they kind of realize how important they are to the company, that they're not just an employee, they're the lifeblood of the company. The owner may be the heart, but the employees are the veins. They keep it running. So the heart keeps it pumping. The veins keep carrying it back. Everything is circular going through the body. So they all work together. So don't take your employees for granted, but teach them the skills. Don't expect them to have the skills. Teach them the skills. These are things that can be taught. I can give you tips on how to take that frustration and bite the lip and realize that people say, I don't kiss anybody's ass. You're not kissing anybody's ass. All you're doing is preserving the customer and preserving the relationship. The moment you leave, if you want to scream at the top of your lungs, you do whatever you want. But not while you're injecting with the customer, that type of thing, okay? And people say the customer's always right. That is not true. The customer is not always right, but you don't have to go out of your way to make them know that they're not right. There's a tactful way to do this, folks. All right. And that's our soft skills training. We have that. If you're interested in that, reach out to our office. We'd love to come. We do volume. Doesn't matter whether you have 100 employees or 1,000 employees or 5 employees. We give enough tips to help, that type of thing. All right. All right, folks, that's all we've got for today. Thanks for joining me on this podcast. If you love what you hear and you want to listen to our podcast, remember you can listen over at Fast Tracks Tube. The podcasts are over there for free. You can listen on our mobile app. You can get it at necchat.com. That's NEC Chat. Or you can go to our website, Fast Tracks System. That's Tracks, T-R-A-X, fasttrackssystem.com. And you go to the navigation, you'll see mobile app. You can get it there for free. We have a chat feature on there. We have the blogs you can get to quickly on there. We have resources, calculators for use in the field on there. We've got so many freebies on there. That we're not trying to charge you for that stuff. We just want to help you out. So until next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. We'll catch you on the next episode of Master the NEC.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.